So first of all, let me just get it out of the way. I love Yellowjackets. I love your work on it. I was so happy, not just to watch it, but also to get the opportunity to speak to some of the casts. How did you get involved with the series?
Well, I got involved because I thought the writing was so incredibly good. I just got an offer out of nowhere, really. Um, and I read it and I just was like, this is really interesting. There wasn't that much of Shauna in the pilot, but I got a good feeling. And then I had a Zoom meeting with Ashley and Bart, the co-creators, and Karen Kusama, who directed the pilot. And I was sold. I was like, I love where this is going. I think it's great.
So you've been working in the industry for almost 3 decades now. I first saw you in Heavenly Creatures. How did it all start, and what do you credit for your longevity and your success in the industry?
Oh gosh, it is crazy to think about how long it's been. I got very lucky. Fran Walsh, Peter Jackson's partner, came to my high school auditioning girls for Heavenly Creatures, and I, by some miracle, got that part. And I really don't know. I feel very fortunate. I think part of it is that I've never been like very famous. People have never like seen a lot of me. I've just kind of worked steadily. And I think that helps. I think when you're everywhere, people can kind of get sick of you. So maybe that's it.
Yeah, do you ever take a break? I looked at your filmography and I was like, my gosh, it seems like every couple months something new.
Yeah, it does. I do. Especially a few years ago, I started to just wait until I found something that really resonated. So I didn't work for a year in between, what was it, like Up in the Air and Win-Win, at like a full year, because I was just waiting till I read something that I liked as much as I liked Up in the Air, Away We Go, The Informant, those 3 movies that I did in a row. And now I'm taking like a enforced break because I'm just too tired.
And you have Yellowjackets starting up pretty soon, or is it end of summer, I heard?
I think end of summer, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Enjoy your time off.
Thank you.
So going into Yellowjackets, Shauna is such a complex character. The show is complex as it is. It's very hard to describe without feeling like you're missing something. Can you give me what your read is on her?
Well, I think she's a person who means well, but I think she's just repressed so much at this point. She hasn't allowed herself to feel anything her whole life. She's pushed it down, pushed it aside. And even as a teenager, it was coming out in weird ways, like sleeping with her best friend's boyfriend. And I think now that she's an adult, like you saw in the scene where she kills Adam, there's just all this repressed trauma and rage that just comes to the surface where she's having kind of an out-of-body experience and then compartmentalizing completely afterwards and just going, okay, now how do I deal with this? Instead of even allowing herself to feel what that felt like or losing someone she truly did love. I'm just interested to see how long she can keep repressing things before it bubbles over. That's the thing I'm fascinated by.
Do you know anything about her backstory beyond what's on the page, or where she's going beyond what has been seen on the scripts?
Not really, honestly. I'm interested to find out more of her backstory. And that's the funny thing with this show about a backstory is it's still being created. So, in season 1, there are moments, when Jackie's ghost started visiting me, I said to the writers, you need to tell me what happened to Jackie. And they said, she died. I was like, well, obviously, but I'd need to know how, like, how responsible was I? Did I push her off a cliff? Did I let someone else kill, like there's levels of guilt that you feel when you look at somebody in a different way. So then they told me exactly how she died. And that was really helpful. So things like that in terms of backstory, I think I'm going to get as the show goes along.
And the funny thing is, as every episode, as things start to unfold and you get to see more and more, it could be she could have died anyway. There could be 100 ways that she dies. That's the thing with the show. Every turn is like kind of a mystery. Where are you going next?
Exactly. And I never want to like paint the writers into a corner and say like, well, now it has to be this because you told some actor that it was going to be. But at the same time, for me, there's some specific things that I just need to know, but not everything. Like I want them to have the freedom to keep inventing, keep changing stuff.
Yeah, it's got to be exciting to get the script and see what's next, and have that be where you learn about it, just like the reader or the watchers do as well.
It is so fun. It is so fun to get those scripts and then watch the table read and see everybody perform them. Like I love, usually I'm like, oh, table reads, but I love these table reads.
When you have a table read, do you have the full cast there? Do you have the young versions and the older versions?
Yeah, everybody's there. We're doing it on Zoom, for COVID.
Oh, okay.
And also just because it's more practical. But yeah, we would stop shooting if we were shooting and sit down for the Zoom table read, and everybody was there. Guest stars, young cast, older cast, and it was really helpful for me to see what Sophie was doing. Sophie Nalise, who plays young Shauna, because the writing is so kind of intricate that there's always a thread from the younger version to the older version that goes throughout the episode. So it helps to keep some kind of emotional continuity. So seeing her performance was so helpful.
Yeah, I don't think you ever shared the screen at all yet. What's that bond like with Sophie?
It's great. I love her. She's just the coolest. And she is so, so, so talented. I'm really astonished by her. And I just like her a lot as a person. So we didn't do a ton of planning together, but we really made sure we were on the same page about the core of the character and who she is fundamentally. And then we just kind of, I feel like it works. I feel like we do seem like the same person miraculously.
Honestly, my wife and I watched it together and we thought you were related. So she said, is that her daughter or her sister or something? And so I went online and searched. I'm like, no, it's not. It's crazy. So
no,
you pull it off for sure.
That's good.
So part of this show is coming of age. It's a survival story. There's dark humor. It's a whodunit. It's even part cooking show if you like to eat rabbit. What aspect of it do you enjoy most as a viewer?
Oh, as a viewer, I love the mystery. It's so fun to find out what happened. I love, the wilderness mystery, and then also like what is going on with Misty? What is going on with Thaisa? What's going on with Natalie? I love figuring all that stuff out as the story unfolds. And also just because I'm an actor, I think I just love the performances. I love watching the performances so much, especially everybody's so great, but to see our younger cast like taking this material and running with it and just showing what they're capable of, it's so exciting every week.
So Jackie and Shauna's friendship literally haunts her until this very day. Mm-hmm. So having this character, they had this very strong bond, and then it's now over, and you only experience it through this ghost. How has it shaped Shauna and who she is?
Oh my gosh, it shaped her so much. I think a vast amount of the guilt and shame that Shauna has that's affecting her everyday life is because of Jackie, her relationship with Jackie. It's because of Shauna's own actions and the ways, she knows she betrayed Jackie, and Jackie knew that before she died. And then just, a silly thing that led to her death. And I think, also, Shauna has to come home and spend every birthday of Jackie's with her parents while she knows the horrible truth about what happened to her. It's torture. Like, it's literally torturing her.
Yeah, it gives me the chills. I was, I guess, trying to living in denial and hoping that she would be back, that she wasn't dead, that there'd be something. And I was like, I actually spoke with Sophie, and she told me, she's like, oh no, she's dead. And I'm like, no. I was like, crossing my fingers. there'd be some
I
kind
know,
of
I was gonna
miraculous.
say, there could be something I've missed, but I'm pretty sure she's dead. I know.
Yeah.
Also, Ella's so busy before the show started. She just had so many options, so she asked for a 1-year contract. So um, she was always just going to be around for that season. She's so great, though.
And as a child of the 90s, how do you like the music?
I love the music. It's always fun when there's a song that I obsessively listened to as a teenager. Um, yeah, I love it.
And there's so many wild moments. Is there one that blew you away, or one that, a moment or a scene that just had your jaw drop?
Um, there's one where Juliet's like in the hotel room by herself and she has the face mask on. And she's dancing around and it's just so heartbreaking and beautiful. I just was like, God, I'm on a show with Juliette Lewis. And she's so great. I remember just watching that and being like, she's just an artist. And then I think Sophie's the kind of attempted abortion scene was was so beautiful. The way they both performed it, Sophie and Jasmine, was crazy.
Do you have any theories of I know you don't have the script, so I can ask, do you have any theories of what's going to happen going forward?
Oh, I don't think it would help me to have theories because I just need to be open. Like I'm trying to be more accepting of not having all the information because I do, again, want our writers to have the freedom to do whatever. I don't have any theories. I'm just excited to see what they do because they're so brilliant.
And she's a very complex character. What's the biggest challenge of playing Shauna?
I think the biggest challenge for me is that I myself am a very emotional person. And she feels things so far inside that it can be hard for me. There are some scenes where I just want to be like sobbing and I can't be. Sometimes I'll be off camera for the other person and tears will be just like pouring out of my eyes. So that's probably the hardest thing is like holding back emotion.
Yeah, it's not just there's a mystery to it. There's so many different elements. She's also a mother, also a wife who's now cheating on her husband, and it's got to give you a lot to work with.
I just can't believe, I'm 44 years old and I have this opportunity to play this character where every week I would read the script and there would be something that would make me go, oh my God, yes, but also, oh my God, no. Because I was so excited to get to do it, but also so scared of having to do it. So that's the best possible feeling is when you can't wait to do something, but you're also terrified. And 10 episodes of that, and I just can't wait to see what next season gives us all.
Yeah, and what's it like? What's the chemistry like on set with such a great cast? It's like it's a who's who. It's amazing.
I know the young actors are all super bonded and hang out, and it's so sweet. We have a lot of us have kids, the older actors, but it's really. Yesterday we did a panel and Juliet said we all work in similar ways, and I was like, oh, that is true. There's nobody who has a completely different process to somebody else. We're all quite intuitive. We all like to kind of improvise a little bit, which is nice. It's nice when there's a group of people who all like to do that. And everyone's just good people. I feel really lucky because, touch wood, we could be on the show for a while. So I'm happy that I like them.
Is there an improvised moment you could tell me about?
The main one that comes to mind, just because the director of episode 8, Ariel Kleiman, I loved. I hope he comes back and does more episodes. He was very into improvising. So there's a scene where Tawny and I are in my daughter's bedroom and we're talking about what we thought our lives would be like after, when we were growing up. And I had done the same speech a couple of times, and Ari was just like, say something different, change it. And so I improvised a thing about like a poet and a literary magazine, this whole thing about, which is based on an actual experience I had at university. We were rival poets. And it's in the show, which is fun. But it was just fun to do something to change it up a little bit and see Tawny be genuinely like, what's the rest of the story? What's going to happen now? And Ari like really encouraged us all to do that. He was very spontaneous and very free. Like the younger cast loved him too. He's just the best.
That's incredible. I have to go back and watch that part again now. The new perspective.
It's not that great. It's just, I mean, I improvise all the time, and I'm lucky that the writers let me. I try to get permission if it's something big that I'm changing, but just to like make it my own.
What about the moments of humor? Are some of those yours as well?
Most of the best ones are from the writers because they're so funny. Like when I say I don't even like my daughter, that was a line that they gave me that I was excited to say. There's no book club. They obviously wrote that. I read that in the script and I was like, this is gold. Yeah, most of the good ones are theirs. There are some very funny people on the writing staff.
And you said earlier that you people didn't recognize you. So what's it like now? Do you have a new fan base? It seems like there's a lot of Yellowjacket fans out there.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I was in New York the other day for like 24 hours and I was meeting a friend. So I was waiting outside at this restaurant and a woman stopped and she was like, "Oh my God." And she said, "You're so pretty in real life." So I was like, "Thank you." It's always a weird compliment to get. But it kind of made me realize like, oh, this doesn't happen that often. I don't know. I'm pretty obsessive about my mask. So that keeps me anonymous probably.
It's strange times. We'll see. And, as things change.
I'm happy to not be recognized. It's better.
As long as they appreciate your work, that's what it's about, right? So you also did a series, Candy, which is just wrapping up. There's a few similarities, but some big differences. How does Betty compare to Shauna?
Gosh, they're so different. Shauna has this kind of innate confidence in herself in a way she moves that is really fun to play. It kind of gives me a little more confidence in my everyday life. And Betty is so anxious. It's like, two sides of the same coin. I have both of those things in me. I tend more towards the anxious, self-doubt, not very comfortable in my skin type of person. So it was a little easier for me to play Betty, I guess. But more fun to play Shauna.
Since she's based on a real life person, were you able to research her at all?
Yeah, there's an amazing book actually that was written about the case called Evidence of Love. And it just has so much detail. They interviewed everybody, and we got to have a Zoom with Jim Atkinson, who was one of the investigative journalists who wrote the book, and he answered every question I could ever hope to have. He was amazing. And that was really, and the scripts, everything that was in the script. But yeah, that book was like my Bible.
And what was it like with all the wigs, costumes, the hair, the big ketchup and mustard costume you wore toward the end? Did you enjoy all that?
No, I did not. Robert Blackman, who's our costume designer, is an absolute legend and a wonderful man. But, they wanted to be really, really true to life. And so I guess that's what Betty was wearing on the day she died. And I was like, well, but it's a TV show. You can lower the shorts a tiny bit. He was like, it's 1980. They were that high. It wasn't a very comfortable costume. But then it was an interesting thing to have to do a huge, awful fight sequence wearing that. And I just kept thinking like, gosh, this woman was just at home, just having a day in her little house outfit, and this terrible thing happened to her.
As the series kind of closed out and you saw the reality of what happened, it really hits you as to, like you said, this is just an ordinary person going about her day, and and it just leads to this madness. It's a tough watch. It's a much different type of series, and I thought it'd be more of a whodunit, and it's more of this more human story.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's pretty clear who done it. Like there was never any doubt about that. It's just sort of an investigation into why and how that came to happen. Yeah, I found the whole murder sequence so upsetting. It's really brutal. But it was brutal what happened to her. It was absolutely awful. So I think it's good to show that.
And I don't watch trailers, so I didn't know going in. I didn't know the case, and I didn't know. I was just watching it unfold. And my wife said, "She kills her." I said, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "She's just too nice of a woman to do this." And then, then out comes the axe, and it's like, eesh.
Yeah,
it's a lot to take in. I usually ask for 3 words, but I'm going to ask for you to do this twice if you could. Can you give me 3 words to describe Shauna and 3 words to describe Betty?
Gosh, 3 words. Shauna, I would say, is funny, confident, and bottled up. Betty is lonely, loving, and irritable.
Fantastic. I really love your work on both series.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm looking forward to seeing the upcoming series. When's that going to come out? Fingers crossed, end of the year. Or are we looking?
I honestly don't know. I'm not sure when they'll be able to get it done by.
They better hurry up.
I know.
I want to see what happens next.
Me too. I want a script.
But fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.